Superhero fatigue is a common topic that is brought up a lot as of recent because of a huge influx of superhero media that were present in the 2010s. I think this is the case with the Marvel Cinematic Universe as of late because it hasn't really felt the same ever since the snap from Endgame. I do think there is some problems and cases that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has had as of recent, and I've talked about it before, but there is always a case of a movie coming out and the comments being, "This is the best movie since Endgame. This is a fresh start since Endgame. Haven't had a fun experience like this since Endgame. This is the only movie past Endgame to be good." It gets to the point where, guys, there's gonna be some good in this universe. There's a reason why this hasn't fully crashed and burned yet. Remember, there's misses in the previous phases, so it's fine to admit that you like a movie or not. Yeah, there's some misses and it sucks balls, but it's been like that before and it will be like that continuing forward. There's gonna be good movies that are standalone and there's gonna be bad movies that are gonna be necessary for the future. But once in a while, there's a movie where you're like, hey, that was a good movie that builds onto the universe even better. And I think Thunderbolts is one of those movies. I know, right? Long introduction for a movie just to say it's good, but it's because it does feel like one of those films that feel pretty fresh and utilizes being a movie that's connected to the universe as a whole. It uses characters from prior movies and shows that were interesting and lackluster and builds upon them in a fun way. Like Yelena is here, and while I didn't really have much of an opinion on her in the past, honestly she was just fine in Hawkeye and I can't really say much about her in role in Black Widow. In this movie she has more depth than characters who already had movies in the past, and she's just written interestingly, and yeah, Florence Pugh is just a great actress. She just has the fun and heart for a character like this, and she's not the only one. I like what they did to John Walker in his little arc. He was an interesting character in the show, but kinda got butchered in the end, but I like how they build on to his douchey side and the result of what he did in the previous show. I do think his douchey tough guy persona really blends into the group in a fun way where yeah, he's a bit self-censored and thinks he's the main character of the universe, but he's also shown to be confident in an actual player at hand. Ghost is an example of, I was a character that was in a bad movie, and they decided to give her a bit more depth and character, but in a slight way. She wasn't that helpful in a lot of scenes. They really nerfed someone who could basically face through anyone, but they did showcase her powers in some cool action scenes, and again, she's finally put in a good movie for once. Bucky is pretty standard here. I thought him being a congressman would come into play, but it barely even discussed it. He's not a bad character, but could have been replaced and wouldn't really change much of the story or narrative. Red Guardian is just fun. I think he's the main Marvel quips trait, so it's really up to you if you like him or not. But for me, I got enough laughs and I love David Harbour's performance in his role. You can clearly tell he's just having a whole lot of fun just playing this role. Now Sentry is a great character. I think he really carries this movie a bunch because he's an interesting, likable character to watch and understand the mystery of why he even exists. But the layers and seeing him eventually be used as a tool is a great quick build up to a character like Sentry being explored in a universe. Now, I don't know much about Sentry in the comics, so any of the 3 Sentry fans can correct me anytime in the comments, but man, seeing his sick-ass powers of being practically the Superman of this universe is pretty crazy. The scene where it shows how practically powerful and indestructible he is towards everyone else, having the connections of basically beating the entire Avengers on his own. The way it was shot and composed and choreographed was pretty amazing. Plus, I like how simple and basic the Void is. It's just a pitch black character with little dot white eyes, and it just looks nice. It looks terrifying, quote unquote. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. It's an interesting concept. I like what it does for the thematic of the movie. I love that it builds up to the themes of the movie. Plus, it builds up to an interesting third act where it's not like this big CG battle where there's destruction everywhere. Well, it kind of is. But they do more besides that. It explores one's past and escaping those demons that are still stuck inside of you, and I think that's pretty cool for a final act. It's less of a punch a big bad and more of a here's the eventual downfall that could lead you to having your demons stuck inside of you and finding a way to fight it out. I do think this movie has a good flow to it where I was never bored or wondering if this movie was longer than it is. I also think this movie looks pretty nice in some aspects where there's a slight creative cinematography and also some good choreography in a fight scene where it feels like they had the sense of what everyone is capable of. It doesn't feel like the same fighting style, punch, and then kick. I do think people were right to be excited and be positive about this movie. It just has a charm that early Marvel has, and I hope that other project does that too while still being experimental and having a good vision behind it. So yeah, this movie is definitely Rizzler approved. Also, that end credit scene was pretty exciting for what's to come in the future, and that's good and worrisome because man, those poor animators. I just hope Avengers sticks to landing, but hey, Fantastic Four is coming out soon. In that case, I think Thunderbolts is an 8 out of 10. It should be watched. Not gonna lie, I think it was really fun. I think it was an enjoyable and fun time. Like I said previously, it just has the charm that early Marvel movies had. I think it brings a whole new light to what this universe needs. And it shows like a perfect example of blending both ends of, hey, we could have a direct director have his vision while also having it connected to the universe as a whole and still building on for future movies. Like, have both the style and the substance at the same time. I do look forward to the new Fantastic Four movie coming out soon, so stay tuned for that. But hey, give this movie a try before the new one comes out. The moral of the story is never to doubt the Riddler ever again.
The world can wait.